They say the mind can build empires or destroy them. They say peace cannot be found by chasing it, only by becoming it. And they say, when the waters of the mind grow still, the truth of life appears. Once upon a time, in a quiet valley hidden between emerald mountains, there lay a small, tranquil village. Morning fog rolled gently over the fields, and the sound of birdsong filled the air. In that peaceful place lived a young boy named Yuki, who would one day become known as one of the wisest Zen masters to ever walk the earth. But long before he became a teacher, Yuki was a seeker, restless, curious, and endlessly questioning. His story, like many of ours, began not with answers, but with confusion. Yuki was different from the other children. While they played, he would wander alone through the forests, asking questions no one could answer. Why do people argue? Why do they suffer? Why do we feel pain even when life is beautiful? He would sit beneath the old trees for hours, listening to the wind as it passed through the leaves, watching the river rush over stones. The more he observed, the more he realized how similar his thoughts were to the restless flow of water, never still, never silent, always moving. One day, sitting beside a babbling brook, he noticed something extraordinary. When the water moved quickly, it was cloudy and unclear, but when it slowed, it became still and he could see his reflection perfectly. In that quiet moment, Yuki understood something that would change his life forever. My mind is like this stream. When it is restless, I cannot see clearly. When it is still, truth appears. Guided by this realization, Yuki decided to seek the wisdom of the greatest Zen masters. He left his home with nothing but a small bag, a walking stick, and an open heart. He walked through endless forests, crossed rivers, and climbed high mountains. In monasteries and temples, he studied meditation, mindfulness, and discipline. He learned to sit in silence for hours, to focus his breath, to quiet his body, but still, his mind raced with noise. Each night, as he lay beneath the stars, he whispered to himself, I understand many teachings, but I do not yet understand peace. Years passed, his hair grew longer, his face older, but the question still burned within him. So one day he decided to stop seeking in temples and search instead in the silence of nature. Deep in the mountains, Yuki stumbled upon a small cave beside a waterfall. There lived an old hermit named Ishiro who had spent decades in solitude. His eyes were calm, his voice gentle, and his presence seemed to dissolve all tension from the air. Yuki bowed deeply and said, Master, I have traveled far and wide, studied with many teachers, and learned countless lessons. Yet my mind is still restless. Please, teach me how to find peace. Ishiro smiled and led Yuki to a nearby pond clear as glass. Surrounded by tall bamboo and wildflowers, he said softly, Look into this pond. What do you see? I see my reflection, Yuki replied. Now, said Ishiro as he threw a small stone into the water, what do you see now? The ripples distort my reflection, Yuki answered. That, said Ishiro, is your mind. Every thought, every fear, every desire, they are stones disturbing your inner pond. To see clearly, you must let the ripples fade. Do not fight them, do not chase them, simply wait, and be still. Yuki was silent. For the first time, he understood that peace was not something to be achieved, but something to be allowed. From that day on, Yuki stayed in the mountains with Ishiro. He meditated each morning by the pond, listening to the sound of the wind and water. At first, his mind fought back, racing, wandering, shouting. Old memories resurfaced, fears whispered, desires burned, but Ishiro taught him to observe them like passing clouds, to neither cling nor resist, only to watch. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. Slowly, the storms within his mind began to calm. He discovered that the more he stopped trying to control his thoughts, the quieter they became. One dawn, as the first light of morning touched the mountains, Yuki sat in deep meditation. The sound of the world disappeared. There was no separation between him and the earth, between his breath and the sky. He had found it, the true peace that comes from within. He smiled, tears in his eyes, not from sadness but from freedom. Years later, Yuki returned to his village, but he was no longer the same man who had left. His movements were slow, deliberate, and graceful. His presence brought calm to everyone around him. When the villagers saw him, they gathered in awe. They asked, Master Yuki, how did you find peace? How did you silence your mind? He smiled and said, The mind is not an enemy to be defeated, but a sky that holds all clouds. You cannot stop the clouds, but you can stop being afraid of them. Let them come and go, and soon, the sky reveals itself. From that day, Yuki began teaching others what he had learned. His students sat under trees, breathing in silence, watching their thoughts drift by like leaves on a river. Slowly, the village itself changed from a place of worry and noise to one of stillness and serenity. The legend of Zen master Yuki spread across the land, the man who learned not to control his mind, but to understand it. The timeless lesson is this: peace is not found in distant temples, nor in the teachings of others. It is found within you. Your mind will wander, it will rise and fall like waves on the ocean. But if you learn to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and let the waves pass, the ocean becomes calm again. The secret is not to escape your thoughts, but to embrace them, to see them for what they are: momentary clouds in a vast, unchanging sky. When you stop chasing peace, peace finds you. Be still, be patient, be aware, and remember, the calm pond does not try to reflect the sky, it simply does. If this story has brought peace to your heart, take a deep breath and gently subscribe for more tales that awaken your mind and remind you of the stillness already within you.